The observation deck of the Stellar Harmony hummed with the quiet efficiency of a ship in deep transit. Rhea Thorne sat alone at a corner table, her calloused fingers wrapped around a steaming mug of black coffee. The liquid inside was dark as the void beyond the reinforced viewports, and she savored it like a dying woman finding water in a desert. She had no idea she was being watched. Mivi, a young maintenance technician from the Velrathi species, stood frozen behind a support column. His large, amber eyes, designed to see in low light, were wide with absolute horror. The human was drinking poison. He'd read about this in the safety briefings. Humans consumed a stimulant called caffeine, but the concentrated doses in what they called coffee registered on Velrathi toxicology scanners as a Class 4 corrosive. The temperature alone should have scalded her throat tissue. The chemical composition should have sent her into cardiac arrest within minutes. Yet there she sat, taking another long sip, her eyes half closed, in what Mivi could only interpret as the early stages of systemic shutdown. His fur bristled beneath his maintenance suit. Rhea Thorne was the ship's chief engineer, the person who'd fixed the gravity stabilizers when everyone else said they were beyond repair. She'd taught him how to properly calibrate the fusion regulators without getting irradiated. She'd saved the ship, and now she was dying because no one had told her the beverage dispenser was malfunctioning. Mivi's small, three-fingered hands trembled as he pulled out his datapad. He needed to act fast. According to his medical database, humans required immediate treatment when exposed to Class 4 corrosives, but if he alerted medical, she might panic. Panicked humans became unpredictable, and unpredictability in a toxicological emergency could be fatal. No. He had to be smart about this. His eyes darted around the observation deck. Most of the crew had retired for the sleep cycle. Only a few stragglers remained, none paying attention to the human engineer lost in her own world. Mivi's mind raced through his training, through every protocol he'd memorized during his brief 6 months aboard the Stellar Harmony. Then it hit him. The emergency medical supplies. Every observation deck had them, and in those supplies was a universal metabolic stabilizer, something the Velrathi used when engineers were exposed to coolant leaks. It wasn't quite a neutralizing agent for human biochemistry, but it was close, very close. He scurried to the supply cabinet, his small frame moving with the practiced efficiency of someone who'd grown up in the cramped maintenance tunnels of a mining station. His paws worked quickly, retrieving a small vial of blue-green liquid. The label read, "Emergency Metabolic Stabilizer, Non-Corrosive Alternative for Carbon-Based Life Forms." Perfect. Now came the difficult part. Mivi crept toward Rhea's table, his heart pounding so hard he was certain she'd hear it, but the human remained oblivious, her attention fixed on a datapad propped against her mug. She was reading something, occasionally taking sips of the deadly liquid. He had to wait for the right moment. Rhea stood, stretching her long limbs with a groan that made Mivi flinch. She walked toward the viewport, leaving her mug unattended. This was his chance. Mivi darted forward, his small body a blur of gray-brown fur. With shaking hands, he dumped the remaining coffee into a recycling chute and quickly poured the blue-green stabilizer into her mug. It looked different, too viscous, too bright, but in the dim lighting of the observation deck, maybe she wouldn't notice. He'd barely made it back to his hiding spot when Rhea returned. She picked up the mug without looking, raising it to her lips. Mivi held his breath. The moment the liquid touched her tongue, Rhea's face contorted. She spat it out immediately, the blue-green fluid splattering across the table. "What the?" She stared at the mug, then at the puddle, then back at the mug. Her expression shifted from disgust to confusion to something that looked suspiciously like anger. "Who the hell put coolant in my coffee?" Mivi's blood ran cold. She knew. Somehow, she knew what he'd done. Rhea's sharp eyes scanned the observation deck, and Mivi realized with dawning horror that he'd made a terrible mistake. He stepped out from behind the column, his small frame trembling. I am sorry, Engineer Thorne," he stammered in heavily accented standard. "But I save your life." Rhea blinked. "You what?" "The coffee. It is poison, Class 4 corrosive. I see you drink it, and I know you not know the dispenser is broken. So I replace with stabilizer. To save you." For a long moment, Raya simply stared at him. Then, to Mivi's complete bewilderment, she started laughing. Deep, genuine laughter that echoed across the observation deck. "Oh, kid," she said, wiping tears from her eyes. "Coffee isn't poison, not to humans anyway." Mivi's ears flattened against his skull. But the chemical analysis, the temperature, the concentration of humans are weird, Mivi. Raya crouched down to his eye level, her expression softening. "We drink stuff that would kill most species. Coffee, alcohol, capsaicin, hell. I once met a guy who ate ghost peppers for fun. We're built different." The young Velrathi's world tilted on its axis. "But you are certain? You are not dying?" "Pretty sure." Raya grinned. "Though I might die from disappointment. That was my last good coffee pod." Mivi's tail drooped. I have made terrible error. Hey." Raya reached out, then hesitated, remembering that Velrathi didn't like being touched without permission. "You were trying to help. That takes guts. Most people would have just let someone die rather than risk being wrong." She stood, looking down at the spilled coolant. "Tell you what. You help me clean this up, and I'll teach you about human biology. Deal?" Mivi's ears perked up slightly. "You are not angry? I'm caffeine deprived. Which is worse. But no, not angry." Raya grabbed a cleaning cloth from a nearby dispenser. "Just, next time you think I'm dying, maybe ask first?" As they cleaned together, Mivi couldn't help but marvel at the strange, resilient creature beside him. Humans drank poison for pleasure. They laughed at near-death experiences. They forgave mistakes that would have gotten him expelled from any Velrathi crew. "Engineer Thorn?" he asked quietly. "Yeah? Why humans drink poison if not necessary?" Raya paused, considering the question. "Because it makes us happy, I guess. And sometimes, happiness is worth a little risk." Mivi thought about that as they finished cleaning. Perhaps humans weren't just resilient. Perhaps they were brave in ways his species had never considered brave enough to find joy in danger, connection in mistakes, and strength in substances that should have killed them. He made a mental note to update his understanding of human biology, and to never, ever, touch Raya Thorn's coffee again.